York County is so much more than just a stop for gas on I-80. 17 County is filled with unique individuals with unique stories just waiting to be told. Welcome to the 17 County Podcast with your host, Emily Perry.
This is 17 County Podcast. Thank you for tuning in for today's episode. Be sure to like, subscribe, and listen. This helps our podcast grow, and we thank you for your continued support. We would also like to take the time to thank our York County Development Corporation members, AgriProducts, Cornerstone Bank, Nebraska Public Power District, and Central Valley Ag. Without these great members, we wouldn't be able to focus on the growth and development of York County here at the YCDC. So thank you. Let's get to the podcast. Okay, so now for the listeners who have been paying a little bit of attention, are a little bit more loyal, you may recognize the voice that we have on the podcast today. Derek Dauel, who used to actually manage and host the podcast and really kind of was the original, upbringer of it, has agreed to come and share his business knowledge for Billie's Grilled Cheese. Derek does it all, the marketing, the cooking, the scheduling, and everything in between. So thanks so much for finding time in your busy schedule to come and impart some wisdom on us.
For sure, yeah.
Awesome. So just to kind of start off with, tell me about you. Where are you from?
So yeah, I grew up here in York, born and raised. I went to high school here. Went on to university in Lincoln, was there for 5 years, joined a fraternity, was real involved with that, was involved with a national organization, a bunch of leadership stuff with them, was on leadership with the group while I was there. After graduation, went on to work for the for my fraternity at their national headquarters, traveling around doing expansion work. So I was going around I went to two different host site or project site campuses, if you will. I was at the University of Maine for about 5 months about 4 months from August to November. Was up there for 4 months, and then I went down to Northwestern University, which was completely different. The University of Maine was very rural, small, campus of like a couple thousand, so it was very
really?
Small. Reminded me more of like York University, something like that. Very, very neat kind of campus, very small. Everyone really knew each other, neat relationships like that. And then I went to Northwestern University, which is a private school. It's also not very big, but it's still a very large school. It's just outside of Chicago, if you're aware of that. So campus right on the lake, probably one of the most beautiful campuses that I ever, got to visit. So I was there for another 3 or 4 months on that campus. I was, great experience, a whole different kind of culture there, much more. There was billionaire kids, on campus, kids of billionaires, things like this. So it's just a whole different, kind of environment and things like that. And so that was kind of a, neat kind of exposure. So I did that for about a year and a half, working for the fraternity. And then I came back to York, did some job hopping, and then, found myself, trying to find different careers. Was at YCDC for a little bit, was at Cornerstone for a little bit, and then eventually found myself, wanting to start my own. I always wanted to start my own business. I was here at YCDC. I was learning a lot of things about, how to start a business. I was meeting people who, were starting businesses. And so I was learning a lot, from them, the do's, the don'ts, kind of, if you will, for, just kind of, just picking it up. It wasn't something necessarily that I was, in the moment I was trying to learn, but, it was something, knowledge that I gained that, I can now use, since I'm in this role as a business owner. And so that was great, so I had a few ideas, when I was here at YCDC of, kind of businesses that I was wanting to start, later on down the road, whether it was like an escape room or a putt-putt golf course or, a bar. I think every guy in the world decides that they want to start a bar at some point in time. So just kind of kicked around ideas with, some friends and things like that. And then eventually found myself with the opportunity to, to start a business. And so I landed on a food truck, something that, I really enjoyed when I was in Indianapolis, when I was working for my fraternity. They had a neat little food truck culture there in Indianapolis. And that was, my first kind of exposure to that. And so they had this thing throughout the summers. They called it Food Truck Friday, every Friday from June to like September. like 40 trucks would converge on this like park or like big square or whatever. You'd go in and you'd be able to, buy food from all these different trucks. And so we'd go with the group, and typically everyone would buy like something, and then everybody would just kind of sample off of each other's kind of plates and stuff like that. And so that was a lot of fun. So I, kind of, then my next, since I knew I wanted to start a food truck, my next idea was, trying to figure out what type of food I wanted to have. I didn't want to do barbecue. That's a lot of work. Plus, there's a lot of people already, doing barbecue around here, and I'm, not much of a barbecue aficionado like, some people around here. Like some people in the community are. And so was trying to come up with different ideas, whether it was like shaved ice or there's already I didn't know there was a lemonade truck at the time when I was coming up with it. So I looked at lemonade and stuff like that, but I eventually landed on grilled cheese because that was something that was really near and dear to me. I really enjoyed, I always kind of kicked around different recipes, just when I was at home, when I was in college, all this kind of stuff. Grilled cheese was something that, I really enjoyed making. And so landed on, grilled cheese, and, it also, works in different ways. I can feed the whole family, not, when I look at some of these other food truck menus, it's typically like adult oriented food. Like there's really not much for kid options or children options, so typically, you're feeding your kid off your plate or something like that. And so I wanted to have an option for the kid, so that way the kid could feel like, he's getting something, he's involved in the process, something for the whole family. And so that was, what led me to, grilled cheese. And I had, I think, 6 different I think I only had 5 sandwich options when I first started. I think I had a patty melt, a BLT, the pulled pork, and the brisket, and then ham and bacon. And so those were the 5 that I started off with on my menu. And I started last April. So Flavors of York in 2023 was my very first kind of event. And then from there, it was just kind of hit or miss events I was trying to set up like in the evening because I still have my day job. I work full time give a little plug for Friesen Chevrolet and Friesen Ford. I work for them doing warranty stuff, a couple days a week. Jason Friesen, the owner down there, has been great to work with. And so he only needs me a couple days a week to do warranty work. And so we got a great business relationship that way. He, understands I'm trying to start my own business and, he's understood, he started his own business, down there with Friesen Chevrolet and their whole parts distribution, if you're aware of any of that. And so that's, I was only trying to work a couple days a week on the food truck while still trying to manage my job down there. And so we worked a thing out where I, need me a couple days. And so I was able to start doing some mornings, and that's when I added the breakfast sandwich. And I wanted something, that people could eat in the morning that was kind of warm. I wanted to set up on the north side of town because there's not much for food variety, up on that side of town anyways. We love Runza, we love Casey's, we love Ablardo's, we love the taco food truck that's up there, but, sometimes it gets repetitive, so it's nice to have a new option, something fresh. And so I was hoping to kind of fill that void. It's been kind of great. It's been a great option for me. Jan and Charlie up at Sunset Bowl, let me set up in their parking lot on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and that's been, a great opportunity for me. And so I expanded into, doing, mornings, and then I just started getting calls and messages left and right. And I don't think there was a single moment last year where I contacted anyone to set up an event other than amazing. Contacting a community to be like, hey, can I come to your community and do paperwork and legal, all that kind of stuff. Otherwise, everyone was, contacting me to come to their community.
That's cool.
And so, that was a real big shock to me because I honestly thought it was going to be a lot harder to get my name out and a lot harder. And at first it was kind of slow going, but once, it kind of picked up, it's really, gotten the ball rolling. And so trying to keep, and that's been the big thing, trying to keep up with the momentum, people have these, they want to, and I love everyone for wanting to come and try my food, but everything's made to order. So wait times can sometimes, stack up. At first it was me, taking orders at the window. People would walk up, I would, hand write their order. So if there was a line of 2 or 3 people, I would take 2 or 3 orders, and then I would go start those orders. But unfortunately, if anyone showed up to those, after when I started those orders, they would have to wait for me to get their order. And then I hoped they were ready because then I had stuff on the griddle and I couldn't, keep I couldn't keep my back up to the griddle for too long. Otherwise, I found out that I could burn stuff pretty quickly,
right.
pretty easily. And so, that was kind of learning lessons along the way. And so, I eventually, sometime after the fair, because I did like everything up until county fairs by myself. I didn't have much I couldn't afford to hire employees or anything like that. And so it was all by myself trying to take orders and everything. And so that got, really taxing and everything like that. And so I eventually caved and bought this like kiosk, like a tablet type kiosk ordering thing that has been a lifesaver. It allows people to come up to the kiosk. They can order on the kiosk, pick what sandwich they want, whatever bread, whatever cheese, and then they can, order, they can pay, and then they, as much as I love to have that interaction with the customers and everything like that, I can't have that all the time because it delays the cooking and everything, and I want to be able to put out a product in a good amount of time, so that way everyone's not waiting and everything like that. And so I got this kiosk to help me, to get ticket times down, so now I can turn a sandwich around in 4 or 5 minutes,
wow.
And so I can get pretty good turnaround time, when orders come in. When I get an order like 6 sandwiches, obviously that, kind of slows things down a little bit. That's another thing, I can only cook so many sandwiches. I think I'm limited to 8 sandwiches, like on my griddle at a time. And so if I have 8 on there, it'll be probably another 10 minutes before I can get to the next, like 8 sandwiches. And so, it just kind of adds up. But yeah,
you're still the sole employee, right?
Yeah, so I have some people that, help me out every now and again, big events and things like that. But for the most part, Monday through Friday, yeah, it's me doing all the work and stuff like that. But I am lucky enough to have been able to find a couple people. Because, yeah, like the hours I work, I can't hire someone that's full-time. So I need to try to find someone that's, doesn't, maybe they're in high school or college, or they have a job where they only work 20 hours or 30 hours a week or something like that. So finding employees is kind of been the hard part. So yeah, that's been kind of my journey, till now. My calendar every weekend is booked up until August. So I mean, as of March, I had pretty much everything booked through August, like all the weekends. My stuff throughout the weeks, I kind of, if a corporation calls me to do a lunch or something like that, I can move stuff around Monday through Friday. On Mondays, if you've noticed on my scheduling, I try to go to small towns. Typically, I've noticed like restaurants in those communities are closed on Mondays and Tuesdays to give their staffs breaks and everything like that. So that gives me the opportunity to come in and fill that void while their staff is taking a break. I can come in and serve their community, and they can have a nice homemade, home fresh product for their community. So yeah, that's been something that's been kind of great about, the experience and everything like that.
Yeah, I feel like it's crazy that it's only been basically a year, because I feel like you went from 0 to 100. I feel like all of a sudden you were there, and you were like legitimately there. Like you were a presence. People knew who you were, and I don't think I've talked to anyone in New York that hasn't been to visit you, So that's really cool that you've gone that far just in a year.
Yeah, it's been wild. It's been quite the experience and quite the ride and everything. A lot of ups, a lot of downs. Luckily more ups than downs. But yeah, there's been some tough moments and everything like that. But yeah, all around great experience. A lot of good leaders in this community. So
yeah. So let's take it back to kind of when you were starting to begin this process with owning a business in the first place. How did you walk through that? Were there any key partners that you really tapped shoulders for? Or were you just like, you know what, full dive in, we'll figure it out as we go? So
yeah, I called on a lot of my experiences from here at YCDC. Like I'd already kind of learned how to make a business plan. That was stuff that I had seen from Lisa and everything, documents and everything that she had shared with me. So I already knew that process. So it was really just kind of contacting the bank to get, finances set up and everything like that. Contacting the Center for Rural Affairs to see if they had any grants or anything out there, any help or anything. They could point me in directions. contacting small business administration. They were helpful, and getting in contact, like who to contact as far as getting my permits, as my mobile food vendor license, my manager's Serve Safe, which I was able to do here in town at Southeast Community College. So there was a lot of just kind of called upon experience that I just kind of had that I touched on and things like that. And so, but yeah, there was, my friend Reed Hitz over at Hitz Towing, he was another person that I contacted, how to do things and everything, being a business owner. So yeah, those were just kind of some of the people that, Tanner Swans or over at Cornerstone Bank was a great help with, the loans and everything. And so, yeah, a lot of good people that, were able to help me, get started and everything like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because, yeah, it was a lot of work. You got to get an LLC, you got to get all these business accounts, you got to get your tax IDs. I mean, it's a lot of forms, a lot of permits. And the worst part of it is just you got to find the time in between your day-to-day busy life. And that's the hardest part of it, is you just got to schedule out the time and make time for it. So unfortunately, I had a lot of time on my hands. I was kind of unemployed for a couple time there. So I had all the time kind of on my hands. So I was going to the library and filling out all my LLC paperwork. And, that was another good resource. They were able to kind of point me in directions too if I had questions and things like that. Librarians are like magicians. They like know everything. They're like the wise wizards of the community that no one knows about. But
Absolutely.
They're the unsung heroes for sure.
Yeah. Okay. So you've been kind of doing what you're doing for a while. You're kind of getting your groove, it seems like. What would you say your favorite part about the process has been?
Yeah, it's the relationships in town that I've already kind of cultivated and I was able to call upon and just kind of help me get to where I needed,
Yeah.
Yeah, there's great people in this community.
Yeah, absolutely. They're always willing to step in and help and be a guiding ear, excuse me. So also, you're very obviously passionate about what you do. So what would you say drives that passion?
I would say, I guess my favorite jobs have just been the ones where I just show up, go to work, and do my job, do the best I can. When I worked for advanced services that was my first job. I worked with, it was Sheldon Sandall, Reed Hitz, there's a whole bunch of guys. We just, started, we were in middle school, had a, good time just hanging out, going to, showing up at like 5 a.m. to go hang out. And just, it was a shitty job, but it was just, showing up, hanging out, just doing your work. And even though I'm by myself, like I still get to interact with a bunch of people. And there's just a lot of good people in this community that I get to interact with day to day. So yeah, that's been, really been the fun part, just getting to, see all these people in our town.
Yeah, absolutely. And in my introduction, I kind of mentioned it. You do, well, anything that you can think of with a business, you do.
Right, yeah. And that's just part of being a small business owner. And that's something that, like, I've, slowly, like, kind of knew. Like, being a business owner, like, everything falls on you. But, like, it kind of reminds me, I was thinking about this the other day, like, it reminds me of, like, college. Like, there's stuff, like, when you went to college and you went to university, there was classes that you liked, and then there was classes that you had to do because they just had to be done. Like, at the end of the day, it just had to be done. And that's kind of like what a small business is. There's things that you enjoy that you do, and then there's things that just have to be done. Like, nobody enjoys doing taxes. Nobody enjoys doing their day-to-day bookkeeping and things like that. But you just have to do those things. You have to get them done. So, yeah, I mean, that's been, kind of the
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously when I was talking, I said like marketing, cooking, scheduling. Is there anything going into the job that you're like, didn't realize I was going to have to do that? That's fun.
What has been like kind of the hardest part? I guess it's kind of just been the monotony of like portioning food out over just, because you run, you got to keep everything stocked and everything like that. So it's just a never-ending cycle of keeping, things inventoried and things stocked and making sure you have enough of everything. And so it's just, being the only person, luckily I have, my folks are here in town, so they'll run out and pick some stuff out at Walmart if I need something. Or my dad works, night shift out at Collins Aerospace, so he's up usually by 1 o'clock or so. Sometimes I need him to go pick up cheese, and he'll run over and go pick up cheese for me. And so, just that kind of running around and always picking up your supplies and things like that. I didn't realize kind of how tedious that was kind of gonna be and everything. Yeah. But luckily I've got it kind of narrowed down to where there's one day a week where I just kind of run and go grab all of my supplies. So that way I'm not, doing it, I'm doing one thing Monday, one thing Tuesday, one thing Wednesday, and then just kind of dragging it out over a week. And so typically on Wednesdays, I just go pick up everything. And so that's just been a real good time.
Yeah. Really fun. It sounds like.
For a busy Wednesday, like I go pick up cheese. I go, I get cheese in, how big are they? I think they're 12-pound deli blocks of cheese.
Wow.
And then I have to slice those into, slices of cheese. And so I'll be spending, 45 minutes, every Wednesday night, slicing, 6 blocks of cheese down. And so, then I got to portioning meat out, all brisket, pulled pork, the patties, the cheese steak, got to cut the ham. It's just a lot of day-to-day, inventory stuff that, it's just a lot to kind of keep up with. But it's part of the job. I don't mind it. Like I said, it's just you show up, you do what you need to do. And then, I've enjoyed the, ability to make my own schedule and have my own time and everything. Granted, I am maybe working more hours than what I would be at a normal job, but at least it's, the hours that I'm choosing to want to work. And, if I want to take a break, I can take a break. I don't have to worry about, looking over my, I've had some fortunate experiences where, I've been,
micromanaged a little bit.
And so, it's just been nice to just be able, everything falls on your shoulders. So it's the good of that and the bad of that. So, everything falls on you, everything's your fault, but all the good things are also, it's kind of nice, everything that comes of it, you can realize that, you had a major part in getting it. Granted, we have a lot of great partners, with McLean Beef and Henderson Meat Processors and Yeesus Cheese and V2 Marketing and Jones Insurance. This is everyone. There's a lot of people that have helped me out. And so,
Yeah, absolutely. And
at Cornerstone Bank, we are committed to providing you the best in banking products and service. With 46 locations throughout Nebraska, we are dedicated to serve you. Cornerstone Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
I know from the outside looking in, you're kind of a marketing genius. Your Facebook page is always really up to date. It's always very witty, and it's
crazy what an advertising degree can actually, when you put it, when you actually put that to work, it's crazy what it can actually do. So I've appreciated a lot of those comments and everything like that. I've heard a lot of people kind of liked my little mini series I had with the posts of, as you've found that all the work and everything, and I was just trying to kind of poke fun at all the work that small business owners do and everything. So
and I think that's definitely something that people don't realize until they're in the trenches. I can talk about it all I want, but I've never lived through it. I don't know. I'm not faulting anyone for not knowing anything, and you just don't know what you don't know, and that's part of life and everything like that. It's just. In the food service side, we just wish people would slow down a little bit more and think before they kind of say some stuff. And so, and I'm sure for the 30 good customers you have, there's always going to be one. There's always going to be somebody. So
I will never forget my very first. I won't say what town I was in, so that way we'll keep everyone anonymous, and I don't want to throw anyone on the bus. But I remember there was these two ladies. It was one of the very first events out of town that I had, and I had a line of people. Like I was not prepared at all for this type of line of people, and it ended up being 45-minute or more wait for some of these customers. And I had these two gals come up. Where's my food?
Oh boy!
My good. What's taking so long? What was your name, man? What did you order? And then. I remember, I won't say actual names, but we'll call her Tammy. Okay. And Tammy said, I said, well, your name's Tammy, right? She goes, yes. And I was like, you had a pulled pork, this, and this. No, I had this, and this. Well, that's the name for Michelle. Well, that's right. My name is Michelle.
What?
No, you just said your name was Tammy. No, she's Tammy.
Oh my God.
Wait a second. And then you're mad at me for not, and you don't know what you ordered. And that was a moment that I'll never forget. That was, my fault. Totally my fault. Yeah. That they can't remember what they ordered. So, that was one of the most frustrating moments that I've had. But you're right. I mean, you're going to have your, that's any job though. You're going to have your people that are not fun to deal with. And so you just, you smile, you do your best you can, and then, you get through it and you move on to your good customers and you remember the good ones and you forget about the bad ones.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or maybe not.
Yeah, right. Depends how bad. But, okay, so like you have said a million times, you travel all over the place. You're everywhere.
I like to hit the road.
Yeah, absolutely. So if I wanted to find out where you were going to be because I wanted to try something, how would I do that? Yeah,
so I teamed up with Eric Eckert earlier this year, and he helped me set up a website. It is Billie's GC. That's BILLIESGC.com. You can go check out my website. I got my menu on there. I put my whole monthly calendar out there, so you can find me for the whole month of May. You can find where I'm going to be at. I got events coming up where I'll be, all over the place. I got SIP Nebraska coming up next week, which I believe is at Mahoney State Park. And so you can come out to that, try a whole bunch of neat craft brew, distillery, wine. There's a whole bunch of other food. Think like Sip and Stroll in York, but like from vendors across the state of Nebraska. So
cool.
Yeah, it's gonna be quite the event. I'm looking forward to that. That's next Friday and Saturday. I'm not sure when this hits, but it'll be May 10th and 11th.
Perfect.
So look forward to that. Yeah, there's a lot of, you can find me on that website, and you can order online as well. So if you're in York and you're sitting at your desk and you're wondering if there's going to be a line at my food truck when you get there, well, order at 10:30. It'll be ready at noon when you show up. So go ahead and do those pre-orders. I appreciate that. It kind of helps me manage my schedule and everything like that inside the truck. So yeah, that's been a great work. Eric does a phenomenal job. He's been a great person to work with. Anyone that needs a website should go to him because he really does a great job. He's great value for sure. I can contact him and he usually has everything updated in an hour or less. It's probably usually in 15 minutes, but he does a great job.
Yeah, absolutely. So if I was I don't even know what to call myself. So if I was like a shop or something and I wanted you to set up out front or I wanted you to attend one of my events that I was putting on, whatever the case may be, how would I do that? And is there any do I have to pay you to come? How does all that work out?
Yeah. So every food truck's different. So everyone does their own rules different. So just because I do it this way doesn't mean you're going to contact some other food truck and they're going to do it the same way. So usually we have some similarities and things like that, but everyone kind of does it differently. So usually a brewery will contact me, and typically I don't really usually charge a fee to breweries because they usually have really good attendance for typical events like this. This isn't usually their first rodeo. For different boutiques and things like that, I try to keep my fee low, or a minimum. I don't really call it a fee. So I usually have a minimum that I try to meet. So I'll say $350. So if I sell $300 worth of food, I'd usually ask that you cover that, $50 just to kind of cover my expenses. And obviously the further away it is, the higher the dollar amount is. I'm doing a graduation event over in Holdridge this weekend. And so the dollar amount for that minimum was $600. And so that's going to be, a good event and everything like that. I've done some corporate events where I recently just did 130 lunches for Green Plains Ethanol.
Oh,
they had a shutdown for their scheduled maintenance, and I was out there doing that. And so that pricing is per person, and I include chips and a sandwich and everything like that. And typically I can I fed those 130 over a 2-hour window. So from 11 to 1, they came and picked up their sandwiches. But I started cooking a lot of those sandwiches at about 9:30 that morning. Yeah. So I can do a variety of different events. I try not to do events over larger than 100. Anything bigger than that really kind of gets into my time constraint, and I just want to make sure I put out a good product for everyone and everything like that. And so if I can do different corporate events, just contact me for pricing. If you want to do, I've done office lunches for like Surveilla Law where they ordered like 20 or 30 sandwiches. I typically do those on Tuesdays and Thursdays when I am here in New York. So if you want to do those are typically the days that I do it on. And then evenings, I can, I've gone to different fairs. They usually just contact me. I have a very interesting, the fairs are very interesting. They charge a percentage fee on your sales and everything like that. So it's not a flat fee. So they take a percentage, and so that, kind of varies. Different places have higher fees than others. Like, I know some communities charge like $100 to come, but they don't have like electricity or anything like that. So like, and then sometimes they advertise, sometimes they don't. So then, that's another reason why we have the minimum, or most trucks have the minimum, is try to, put some pressure, I guess, on the business to do some advertising as well for the food truck. Mm-hmm. So that way they're not stuck on for that $350 and everything like that. So that's just, kind of how to kind of help, keep the business and everything kind of going and everything like that. Because as much as I love to come out to go to different communities and everything like that, it's not very fun to go to a community and see 20 people when you're there for 6 hours, 10 hours. Yeah. So it's just got to make money sense. Just like any other business, it's just got to make money sense in order to do it and everything like that. So as much as some people think that the food truck's a charity, it is not. I've had some people that you find that some people overestimate the numbers of their events and things like that. They'll inflate, we have 400 people show up, and there might be 100 people that show up to the event. And so, you live and you learn and everything like that. You just hope everyone's being as honest and upfront as you can. But you just got to make sure you protect yourself as a business, because unfortunately, sometimes people misrepresent. I know they're usually not trying to do it on purpose, but our memories usually aren't sometimes the best about remembering how last year's turnout was.
Yep. I know that one thing that you do that I have a lot of respect for, because I don't feel like a lot of people do it, but come rain or sunshine or whatever, usually you're there. You don't shy away because it's a little bit drizzly outside.
No, and that's why I have the online ordering, so that way you can, if it is, unfortunate weather, as I call it. It's not, like this morning, it wasn't necessarily the most ideal conditions at 7 a.m., but I was there. I was set up. At 4:30 when I was, putting stuff in the trailer, I was kind of wondering, is this lightning and everything going to keep going? Or is this thunder and wind never going to stop? But sure enough, it did. And it ended up being a pretty good day today. And so, but I try to go out. I want to make sure that if I say I'm going to be out there, I know what it's like to put something in the books, and then you go there and they're not there, and so you're just, and you understand it. I get it. Things happen. You don't want to put your help in a bad situation, and that's where I feel being the owner. I'm not putting someone in. I'm not asking. I'm never gonna ask. I'm never gonna ask someone to do something that I would never do. So
absolutely. So before we get to the hot potato portion of this, I do have to ask, if somebody were to come to you and they're like, I really want to start a food truck. It won't be competition. It'll be something different. But I really want to do this. I have no idea what I'm doing. What advice would you have for them?
Yeah, I would love to do that, because once again, I contacted a truck, a very big truck, a very prominent truck out of Lincoln, and they told me it was $125 an hour to talk to them. And so I understand. I get this guy was prominent. He's big. He gets a lot of requests. But when I was first starting, I didn't have $200 just to shell out to ask some guy questions. And so I would love to ever, if anyone ever has any questions, just the first thing you want to, decide if a sole proprietorship or an LLC is good for you. Find a good tax person, a good money person to help you out along the way. Luckily, Yeah, find a good tax person, find a good banker that you trust, that you have a relationship with. Could be someone here in York, but find just, if you have a cousin that's a banker, if you have, a fraternity brother, or if you, someone you went to school with, just talk to them, someone you trust, and be honest with them about your finances and everything like that. Because if it doesn't make sense, don't start a business and put yourself in a bad situation where you're not gonna make ends meet and things like that. Because it is tough. Starting a business is tough. You got to be able to go all in. Luckily, a food truck isn't that big of a commitment. It's not like a restaurant where it's $500,000. It's a large enough commitment. I think my loan was like $65,000 for the truck and trailer. So it's a large enough of a loan that things are serious, but it's not enough to where my life's over if I don't have a $500,000 loan hanging over my head and anything like that. Like some restaurants and things like that. And so I would love to talk to people and figure out what they need to do. My advice is always find a niche. Find something that's not out there. I don't recommend you go start a taco or a barbecue or anything like that. There are plenty of them out there. And if you are going to do barbecue, make sure it's a niche of some sort. You're different. Not doing something that everyone else is already doing. And I think, I personally think, if you're going to do barbecue, go to competitions, earn awards, put those awards out when you go to places. Yeah. It adds credibility to your food truck. I know I'm going to try out there. I don't have a barbecue competition to go to, right. And they unfortunately don't do grilled cheese competitions. Yeah. And so, I'm going to, I know over in Waverly, they do this thing called Food Truck Wars. And so I'm going to try and go to that, just so try and get my name out there and do different things like that. But yeah, just get your name out there. Joining the chamber, joining YCDC. If you operate in a different community, like I operate in Seward, so I joined the Seward Chamber as well. And that's provided a lot of value. And so if you're, big proponent of if you're going to be operating in that community, you should be investing in that community.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Okay. So now we get to go to the fun part. I don't know if I call it fun, but I'm going to call it fun. So it's called Hot Potato. I'm sure you're familiar with it. It's like Coke or Pepsi type questions. Oh, yeah. Super simple.
I remember doing these.
Yeah. So you probably have all the answers locked away.
I was just going to say, hopefully, I wonder if these are different or I wonder if these are the same.
Ooh, putting me on the spot. Oh, no. Hopefully different. We'll see. We'll see. Fall or summer?
Ooh, fall, definitely, by far. Summer's just too warm. Like, fall football, everything's changing, the colors.
But winter's coming.
That's fine. Whatever.
No.
Like, yeah.
I'm not a cold girl. I don't like the snow. I don't like ice, but...
Oh, don't worry, I hate it too. Yeah, if I could... But now that I'm in this business, I get to take, that's my break.
Yeah, you get to breathe a little bit.
I get to breathe during the winter, so I kind of looking forward to winter now.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. TV or book?
For sure. I watch so much all the subscriptions. I'll watch everything. And anything that comes out. Right now I'm watching, I think, Tracker. Ooh. It's like a CBS show that's on Prime. And then there's a couple movies that I watch. Yeah. TV for sure.
For sure.
Movies, TV, yeah.
If you had to pick between movies and TV.
Ooh, TV, because even there's some TV series that more or less could be movies nowadays.
Oh, for sure.
They're the limited series. They're 6 45-minute long episodes, and yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Give me that.
Fair enough. Travel or stay home?
Boy, that's tough because I'm a little of both, honestly. I love my time at home, but I do have a trip to Vegas coming up for bowling nationals I'm really looking forward to.
Nice.
And then I enjoyed all my different travel, and I guess I enjoy the travel around the state that I kind of do. But I really I have a dog, Billie, that is at home. That I really just enjoy staying at home and hanging out with. So. And
I'm assuming Billie is inspiration.
Billie's the namesake
okay.
She's the chief marketing officer.
I like that. That's awesome. That's cool. Okay, farm or city?
That's weird.
I know.
York,
Woo, that's a good mix. Okay, I can get behind that.
Lincoln's probably the biggest town I could ever live in my life. I lived in Indianapolis and it was great. I had everything at my fingertips, but no sense of community. Everyone's a stranger. It's got its pros and cons, but yeah, definitely a small town for sure.
Okay, Fair. Board games or card games?
Board games. Love board games.
That was a quick answer.
Okay.
Do you have a favorite?
Catan. Like, I'm a big Settlers of Catan. Like, I like Risk. I guess there's some hybrid board card games that I like to play, but yeah.
Fair. Okay. Sweet or sour?
Sweet or sour? Sour, for sure. Like, Warheads. Like,
ooh. You're talking like sour.
Yeah, because like, even when I go to breweries, sour beer. Like, love me a sour.
Okay. This isn't on my list, but just because I'm nosy and I'm curious, you're talking breweries.
Yep.
What are your like top breweries in the area that you like to go to?
Okay, so I'll say the state of Nebraska. I won't even say the area.
Fair.
I like going to Bottle Rocket. Like, they got a good variety over there. I like going out to Ord, to Scriptown. They have a great selection if you ever find yourself over that way. Steeple Brewing in Hastings.
Okay.
They're very good. First Street Brewing in Hastings, also very good.
Hastings is kind of a hub.
I was just in Hastings this past weekend for a Do the Brew event, downtown Do the Brew.
Interesting.
Yeah, so they had 32 breweries from across the state of Nebraska converge on their auditorium, and they must have had 600 people. Like,
jeez.
Yeah, it was a big turnout.
That's insane.
Yeah, there's a lot of good breweries across the state of Nebraska. Go check out the Passport Brewery program and all that cool stuff, and go talk to Bob in York County Tourism, and he'll hook you up with all the different kind of stuff across the state.
Yeah, for literally anything and everything you can think of. If you're interested in it, he'll know about it.
Yeah, Bob will point you.
Yeah. Okay. Another question I just didn't ask because I was so invested. So you obviously travel. You're not just in York. I understand that. I realize that. But York is still kind of your home base.
For sure.
Why?
I think York will always probably be my home base. A good place to operate out of. I learned this from working here at YCDC. We have one of the strongest retail pulls in the state of Nebraska. Like, we bring so many people to York from other counties, other communities. There's so many places that you can get to in 90 minutes, in 60 minutes. You can be the Kansas border in 60 minutes. You can be to Yankton, South Dakota in less than 2 hours. Yeah, perfect location. You can be to Lincoln in an hour. You can be to Grand Kearney in an hour and a half, depending how fast you go. Yes, depending on the time. Grand Island, I bet if you did a 90-mile radius around the city of York, you would probably come up with 70% or more of the state of Nebraska's population.
Yeah.
And that is insane. Like, you can't get that in Lincoln because you're too far east. You can't get that in Kearney because you're too far west. York is the best location.
It's a sweet spot. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so now we are going to start wrapping it up here. So, any parting words of wisdom for literally anybody listening?
The fun words of wisdom. I remember this one. All the so many things right now that I want to say. Just go check out the Jim Valvano speech. And yeah, go check out the Jim Valvano speech and the Stuart Scott speech. Okay. They're both SB speeches, like from ESPN. You'll really like them.
I've never heard of
Yep, Jim Valvano, Jimmy V, and Stuart Scott.
Okay, good to know. I will definitely be doing that, and I'm sure I'm not the only one. So, just to wrap things up, thank you so much for taking the time to come out here.
Yeah, this is a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It's interesting being on the other side of the mic.
I bet it is. It's kind of intimidating.
I felt like I talked over you the whole time. Like, I feel like I spent 90% of the time talking.
I love it. That's how it should be.
Yeah,
That's good.
yeah,
That's good.
yeah.
But thank you once again. Do you want to give one last little plug for your website?
Yes. So that's Billie's GC, BILLIESGC.com. You can find my schedule, my menu, order online, all my social medias. You can find me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, most active on Facebook. But yeah, you can find me anywhere. But yeah, come try my food. Come check me out. I'll be probably in a community near you.
Awesome. Well, thank you once again, and we will probably be eating there soon. So,
thank you,
see
Emily.
you soon.
In closing, we would like to once again take the time to thank our members, the people that help us drive change. We would like to thank York State Bank, Henderson State Bank, York General, Meade Lumber Company Incorporated, and York News Times. And thank you, our listeners, for tuning in. Catch you next time.